What am I going to talk about? There's always a head scratcher in one of these, Not intentionally. Like I look at half of my frames with the history of propaganda, and I'm like, propaganda, 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 propaganda. Like totally supercut worthy at some point. Like 60, something close to, it'll be 60 videos now after all of this. What can I say? Repetition is part of the message. Especially if you consider. My first draft of this whole thing, as I might have mentioned previously, began in Trois-Rivières at a former nunnery while I was working at Premier Aviation, which was changing over to AAR at that very moment, and which by candlelight even. I have a short video on my Instagram about this, and behind. Behind the monastery, the former monastery, is a drug rehab facility. I don't remember the name of it, but it's well known to the area. And because I didn't have a vehicle at the time, and I think my license was suspended too, for whatever reason. I've not exactly been, upstanding citizen all the time. It just because financial pressures of being a single man, and that's actually I just seen that on the CBC right now, especially as a contractor. The employees look at you sometimes and you're like, oh, you make $45 an hour on average, plus per diems anywhere between $50 and $100. Sometimes less, depending, because COVID actually there was some places were offering $32 an hour. Some were offering $40 or $42 an hour recently, and then at the top end maybe $50. And I rarely I'll hear about, say, like 60, which is applicable to both the sole proprietor and to incorporation. So and I'm thinking about the barriers that are involved in small business. Because again, referencing financial propaganda, so to speak, with the support of the welfare state of large corporations, corporate welfare, that originated out of the 2008 financial crisis, which was exacerbated by subprime mortgages in the United States, and a lot of speculation. They sort of and then high inflation. Again, referencing the Thailand boom, bust, and echo, which is exactly what was we're in that pattern right now, which is very scary, right? Again, why I said in financial warfare as being parts of extraordinary warfare, the different ways of coercion and pressure that international politics is based upon. Que bueno, who benefits from what in resources and control and so on and so forth, the territory, dominance, hierarchy, yada 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 yada, propaganda, blah, whatever. Kill me with a heart attack gun. I don't go ahead and try, whatever. Amazing what technology. Anyways, the first draft more or less had to do with the so the medium is the message so that comes from Canadian television, as I've mentioned. Again, in the earlier volumes the earlier videos of the history of propaganda in volume 1, and we're just past the middle, I would say, of this volume 2, and let's see. So the education, literacy, and distribution are the three components of the whole thing. Because you have to have media literacy, you have to be able to think critically in order to tear down the ideology, and have some some rubric, some framework of logic in order to understand what is true and valid and what isn't, and what is subjective and manipulable, right? So this gets into more philosophical aspects of thought, and what is thought. So what's it, if I didn't mention this already, this is a study of thoughts, study of thinking and reasoning. Let's see. So Quarles is metacognition, cognition. JSTOR. So this is 1958. R. Oppenheimer. So this is. Well, I don't have a login anymore. Naturally, I wanted to actually return to Trent University and do this with them, but despite how much I've tagged them, as this point I've had no response. I know there's probably something going on in the background. Who knows, right? You never know who your efforts actually touch, and who your actions actually, positively or negatively influence, and what result is going to be effervescent, so bubble up to the surface. And when I say effervescent, it always reminds me of a beer from Quebec. It's I'm trying to remember who produces La Fin du Monde. Unibrew, yeah, that's it. And the beer specifically, so this is Chambly, Québec. Oui. Ouais. Notre bière, or nos bières, so theirs, our beers. Les classiques, they got, where is it? One of my favorites is actually Maudits, which is it's a French folklore, and Trois Pistoles, which is it's a church, the Pistole, so epistemology, symbology, three pillars, three spires. Because Quebec is very much steeped in Catholic tradition, and again the religion, Catholicism, especially Catholic monks and nuns were responsible in the early days for illuminated manuscripts, and also for astronomy. Right, it was the search for a heavenly body, so to speak, who was God up in the clouds. Right, if we're going to go by oral history, and that the scene that I remember is in what's it? Goodness, is it a documentary? I'm trying to remember. It has to do with meteorites, and I forget his name right now. It's I'm losing my mind about it, and it has to do with like sacred geometry, and seeing the patterns of crystalline structure, which is gets down to crystalline structure of metal, and so iron. Oh my goodness, it's slipping my mind right now. It's hard to remember everything, but it's in here somewhere. Goodness. And can you think about the? Let's see, where is it? Because the foundation of humanity, the series autre chose, because communication is part of humanity. It's part of any kind of it's part of evolution, right? If you have multiple bodies in any kind of like dominance hierarchy, or even in any kind of organization. There's signals, there's chemical signals, there's electrical signals, There's wavelengths, specific wavelengths that are sympathetic or dissonant. Discord. Right? Again, if we're going to talk about technology, and again, this first draft more or less had, as I'm trying to get to, is and again bouncing around like a schizoid. Honestly, again, to the uninitiated, the highly intelligent and the schizophrenic are the same thing. Like, unless you have clinical experience with these people, or you have close, intimate knowledge of people like that, then you can't really say, right? It's like armchair expert. Uh, Goodness, I can't remember anyways. But fermentation, right? It's gone, I think. I can't find it on here. Apropos. So Unibroue, Unibroue. The other one that I really liked was from was in Trois-Rivières. Is the brewery that's in La Mauricie, Trou de Diable. That's it. Yeah, the Devil's Hole. Provence. Entrez votre date de naissance. Jour. Okay. Avant. Entrez. Bien. Where is she? I'm trying to remember now. Because I went up there. Shawinigan, that's it, right? Shawinigan is where Jean Chrétien was born, if I remember correctly, right? And he's still alive. Unfortunately, his wife passed away 3 years ago. Rest in peace. Yeah, naissance le 11 janvier 1934. Okay. Where am I really going with this? This is a bit of rambling at first. Because I was trying to figure out, why there was such disparity, and having grown up in the age of terror, basically, like from high school onwards, like we're talking like, well, again, 2001, I was in, goodness, grade 10, grade 11, and you think about the scene, and a lot of people have the same experience where the TV was rolled in. Well, for me, I was in the library at 11, or close to 11 a.m., and TV's rolled in, and I'm doing whatever, and I'm watching this event happen, and it's one of those, okay, so like 10 days to shook the world, so to speak, from taking from my education here, and how effective that was as a piece of propaganda, for the reasons of ISIS and ISIL, and what that resulted in. And we're talking, if you want to get further with the propaganda arms of different governments, and how they affect the populace. So you talk about the media literacy, and control, and the specific facets of ownership, right, and independence. So then that correlates to investigative journalism and accountability, and writing, right. I'm looking again. I'm bouncing around a bit here, quite frequently. I'm bouncing around, so forgive me. This is what it's like in my head. So trying to, and it's the same for a lot of other intellectuals, right? Like again, trying to communicate linearly is very hard. It's very hard to do. And I'm starting to sound like Guy Martin there. Absolutely mad lad, right? Because the amount of information and trying. So what's it? Give me a second here. Because I'm not rehearsing any of these videos. I have a concept, and I have an idea of what I want to do with them, and then just fluid state as best I can. I was thinking about, okay, so Pierre Poilievre, we're going to talk, be topical, and we want to talk about, and again, we're talking about like nunneries and monasteries and alcohol, beer, Winston Churchill, right? And how many volumes of, he was mentioning, again, this is on Instagram, he was giving credit where it was due to the man, him being, Churchill being a wartime prime minister, and how he was notorious alcohol consumer, right? He could basically drink anybody under the table. Imagine the amount of the number of Johnny Walkers he had in his life, like holy, and a bit of personal information back to high school, because I was always gung-ho about the military, always gung-ho, right? As far as I can remember, right, in aviation, from like basically like my face being in the grass, and looking up, having someone within the church, one of my best friends is his father, the Gorleys, right? He flew for Canadian as a pilot, and he was a cyclist, and so that had an influence on me. And so there's the three of us, three stooges, that we knew each other from Highway Pentecostal, good friends. And I remember playing, again, I'm going on tangents here all over the place, but I'll bring it all together, right? Because it obviously has to do with each other. Everything has to do with each other, right? Everything everywhere at once, so to speak. There's a continuum and causality and correlation, but again, causation is not correlation. In that playing red light, green light in the foyer of Highway Pentecostal, and I remember being in the basement for Sunday school. Even then, and my mother and my father, obviously being us being lifelong believers, ran the library, and so there's the dog. I'll come back. We'll get to the meat of this. Okay, meat, dog meat, arf, and follow the situation. Again, coming to like the original motivations, and obvious, those events in our lives that make us who we are. And growing up in Barrie, if we're going to have a bit of story time, again, one of the instructional techniques that I learned because of the military and cadets to further emphasize the importance of youth programs and the better sides of them. Again, if we're going to be specific, I was thinking about this on the walk I just had with my dog, and how pissed off I was with the Canadian military for years and years. I didn't even want to go to a remembrance ceremony at all. I didn't. I wanted nothing to do with it. I wanted nothing to do with the military, veterans, or anything. Right? I just wanted my guns. I wanted to be left alone. I just had enough of everybody else's problems. Just had enough. And, specific events. I can remember flashes of Base Borden with my father, who was an independent insurance broker at the time. So traveling around the Muskoka, so like including Alliston, Collingwood, around Oro, and places around Barrie. Different clients all over the place. So, my family, extended family, has had involvement, and still does at this point. Extended family, direct involvement and participation within the Canadian Forces. So I have all the more motivation to do this project. Because at some point, just had to kiss and make up, right? You can't just forget who you are and abandon everything that you were for an ideology and propaganda, right? Our history matters. Our narrative, our illuminated manuscripts, our religion and our belief systems, our altruism, and what it is to be Canadian actually matters. We can't just give it up for someone else's idealism of what it is to be a person, and what is person and personhood, or person and personability. So my choice was there, obviously, in my younger years, because kids are extremely impressionable. This is one of the other points, and why I resist as this current moment. We're talking 2023, and this whole cycle that happened after 9/11, and the vulnerability that was exposed to the culture and taken advantage of by foreign actors, right, through the finances and through cultural warfare. By eroding and demoralizing, the leadership structure of the entire culture, for the love and lust of power and money. So we're talking about the failures of globalism, because it's seriously multifaceted, and hence why, the real bouncy, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, nature of things. Yes,
It's too loud.
I understand. I'm in the middle of it.
Okay,
I'll
well,
finish it as soon as possible. Please don't disturb me when I'm doing it. I'm
let you
being
know.
considerate. I'm being considerate, okay?
All right,
Please stop.
thank you.
This is very important.
Well, I know, but also I want to let you know.
Yes, I understand your position.
Thank you.
I can't do this right now.